and welcome to the Ramblings of a 42-Year-Old Man. Chris Smith here with you today. We are going to ramble about a movie I love today, and we're going to talk about 1994's Speed. Now, this is a fairly well-known movie. I don't think I'm the one of a few people that like this one. I know Dark Was the Night was a little more obscure. Logan, National Treasure were probably a little bit bigger, but then Speed is actually one of the probably one of the more mainstream movies that I've talked about on this. But we're going to get into a little bit about the development, the people who worked on it. We'll talk briefly about the story and everything, about the legacy, and then I'll have a little offshoot at the end about the music that's going to kind of kick off into another ramble that I'm going to get into. So I'm kind of excited to talk about that. But let's start with the movie itself, and we'll get some of the background out of the way. All right, so 1994, Speed was released. It's directed by Jan de Bont. Now, Jan de Bont, up until this point, this was his first directorial debut. He had been cinematographer on many, many movies over the years. Most well-known would probably be like Hunt for October, and then, funny enough, Die Hard. And I say funny enough because Speed, for most of its life, has been known as Die Hard on a Bus. So it was kind of funny that the cinematographer from Die Hard came out and did Speed, but he sure did. He would go on to do many other movies as well, but this is kind of the beginning of his directorial gig. So starring Keanu Reeves, who, now we think of as John Wick and Neo from The Matrix. He's synonymous with action star. At this point in his career, though, he was most well-known as Ted from Bill and Ted, where he's kind of a goofy, almost stoner kind of dude. He had to come out in Point Break the year before this one, which is a little more action-oriented, but it was kind of, even though it's an action film, it is very much more a character piece, really, between him and Patrick Swayze. That one is. But, it was kind of the start of him coming out of the comedy part and getting known for some other things. But Speed was what really put him on the map as an action star. And then you also have Sandra Bullock, who also broke out in this movie. So she had been in a couple other things. At this point, probably best known for Demolition Man, where she was kind of the secondary character to Sylvester Stallone, kind of his partner on the police force. So that kind of got her known, and then Speed is what really propelled her forward. She was also really a quick part of the American remake of The Vanishing with Jeff Bridges and Kiefer Sutherland. She is the wife of Kiefer Sutherland's character who goes vanishing, who vanishes from the beginning of the movie. I remember my mom being like, wow, that girl, we're going to have to watch her. And I saw Demolition Man. I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize her. She isn't that. And also in Speed, it's like, okay, yeah, she was right. We have to watch this one. And I've loved Sandra Bullock ever since. I mean, she's amazing. But yeah, now I'm going to get into a little bit of the music too. I'm going to split this out into another ramble as well. But the music of this one was done by Mark Mancina. Now he is a member of kind of Hans Zimmer's Media Ventures film score company. Now Hans Zimmer is known for tons of scores. I mean, he did Lion King, and I'm going to get into some more about him when I talk about the music ramble that I have coming up. But just know that this is kind of part of this really interesting time in the late 80s, early to mid 90s of just all these action movies having really awesome music. We don't see that so much anymore, and you might have some really cool music in like a big fantasy movie, or some of the MCU might have some parts here and there, but I'm talking just really good themes that when you hear it, you're like, I know what movie that's from, right away, So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But that gets us kind of, some of the background of the movie. We'll do a real quick run through the story next, and then we'll talk about the legacy of Speed. All right, so as for story, so Keanu Reeves is a LAPD SWAT officer. His name's Jack Travins, and him and his partner respond to a bombing on an elevator. They're able to get all the passengers off the elevator before coming face-to-face with the bomber himself. And during the face-off, it seems like the bomber has blown himself up with a bomb. Later on, Keanu Reeves' character is at a coffee shop. He's talking to a bus driver. The bus driver goes to get on a bus, starts driving away, and the bus, boom, explodes. Right after the explosion, a payphone starts ringing. Jack, Keanu's character, goes to answer the phone, and it's the bomber. The bomber survived, and now there's another bomb on another bus. And this bus, if it goes above 50, will arm the bomb. If it goes below 50, it'll blow. And so now it's up to Jack to find this bus, try to get it either disarmed or get the passengers off, some way of being able to do it. He's been told by the bomber that he wants ransom money. If anybody tries to get off the bus, he'll blow it. Again, if the speed goes below 50, he'll blow it as well. So all sorts of stuff goes on there. Here's where all the different action beats come on. So, Jack has to try to stop the bus at first. He's not able to. It goes above 50, so then he tries to get on the bus. He's eventually able to do so, and then it's all about, how do you stay going above 50 in L.A., So a lot of, hard turns and traffic getting in the way and hitting baby carriages that you finally figure out is full of cans instead of a baby. I mean, it's tropey action stuff nowadays that was really cool at the time. Big old jumps over a non-finished freeway. I mean, it's one of the most famous scenes in the movie. Probably one of the most ridiculous scenes, but we all loved it at the time. Anyway, after all these near misses and everything, they figure out that the way that he's able to tell if anybody gets off the bus is he's got a video recording set up in the bus. They're able to kind of hack into that and get all the passengers off of the bus before it explodes. But the bomber doesn't know this happened, so they go forward with a fake ransom drop. And Jack is there. He comes face to face with Bomber again. Unfortunately, he's got Sandra Bullock's character Annie, who was on the bus obviously throughout most of the movie, being the driver of the bus as well. So there's a lot already, built up background now between them. And now she, unfortunately, is being held hostage by the bomber. And so the final set piece is actually on top of a train. Jack's able to take out the bomber, and him and Annie have to kind of survive a train crash because she's handcuffed to the train. They can't get her off. And so the final part of the movie is them surviving a train crash. So they got buses, they got trains, they got elevators, they got all sorts of stuff going on. And then, that's the finale of the movie. So real quick story. Most people know this story. I think most people, if they haven't seen Speed, have definitely heard about it. But that's how that gets into it. I rewatched this again the other day, and it still holds up. I still was kind of like jumping, like, oh, don't drop below 50. Oh, how are they going to get around this? Like, I know how they're going to get around it, but still, a good movie can still suck you in, even 30 years later. So let's get into some of the legacy of Speed, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up our ramble for today. So as I mentioned before, as Speed was coming out, it was definitely marketed as Die Hard on a Bus. Die Hard had been huge in the late 80s, and this was kind of the next big action film. And it ended up being, a lot of times you'll hear this, like, oh, Die Hard on this, Die Hard on that, and they all would just kind of fall off. This one stood up and passed the test. So, it earned over $350 million at the box office, which we're talking about early 90s. You hear that now, I'm like, oh, that's not much. But back in the early 90s, that was a lot. And the budget of this movie was only $30 million. So you want to talk about profit. This is a hugely profitable movie. It won Oscars for sound and sound editing. You don't get that Oscar-winning action picture all that often, but they did a great job. And obviously, it set up a sequel, Speed 2, which Keanu did not come back for. Sandra Bullock did, and she has stated many times in her future interviews that it was a mistake and that it was one of the worst movies she'd ever been in, and it's not great. It's got Jason Patrick in it, who I do enjoy, and I can still put it on just for some dumb fun, but it is what people made, the people that don't like Speed 2 is what they're thinking of, I think, when they think of how bad Speed is, because Speed 2 is just all the stupid things that you're worried about Speed being. That's what Speed 2 is. Speed itself is actually a really great action film. So yeah, that's Speed. Like I said, a movie I love, a 1994 release with Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and I mentioned earlier about the music. I'm going to do another ramble talking about just the craziness of how good the music of action films were in this time period. So we're talking about, Last Mohicans, Speed, Face Off, Stargate, Crimson Tide. There's just some amazing movie music out there. And all around these movies that now people would think twice about the music of. I mean, can anybody tell me what the music of John Wick sounds like? I can't. You can probably tell me the Avengers theme, but can you tell me any other music from any of the MCU movies? It was definitely a time where music was really awesome in these movies. So I'm going to talk about that in a future ramble, probably in the next couple of days. But be on the lookout for that. Till then, thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope anybody who has ever seen Speed is able to pick it up. I think it's on Amazon Prime, I think, right now. You can probably find it on any VOD service that you want to. You can probably find it in a $1.99 bin at Walmart or something, who knows. But anyway, really fun movie. Anybody who hasn't caught it, anybody who has, give it another watch. It's been a number of years since I saw it. I'm sure it's been a number of years since many people have. It still stands up. So thank you very much for listening, and we will talk again soon. Bye.